I'll come back to you, Alex. And that is because, as the Commission Chief Executive mentioned earlier, you've actually crossed over. So how did you achieve that? What did you do? What did you do to get there so quickly? How did you achieve? What were your critical factors that made you succeed so quickly?
I think, if I'm being honest, the process itself was not too difficult, right? Okay, I think, to be honest, you've got to give credit where credit is due. I think for the first time in the history of the country, we had a divestment framework introduced at the very last minute, but nonetheless, it was. You wanted to say something?
I would like to ask that, can we give a round of applause to the Commission? Thank you. And I do recall, because I sent that framework, now we're not debating issues here, but I recall that I sent it to you quite earlier on, actually. So it was sent earlier on as opposed to the last minute.
You didn't pay me for this part too. I can't agree. No, we look, I think very robust 7-point framework that, we all had to complete, which of course all our companies have a relevant governance and data management, so that wasn't too much of a problem. The engagements, we had the workshops, and on the back of that, all the internal reviews were being done and coordination, I would say. I don't believe we've got 4 transactions.
Okay.
I think to have 2 get through, 1 on Amber, and the other one is yet to apply for consent, technically, or, I think that's a score of 2 out of 3, right? In my view, anyway, right? Now, the last company, it's a relatively complex, big transaction. So the other 2 are relatively smaller. So you've got to accommodate that. So in my view, I don't think we're all on different tracks. I think we're all on the same track. Our biggest challenge through the process, so I've talked about the good things, right? Our biggest challenge through the process has been, again, I think Bite mentioned it earlier on, how do you develop and apply the law for the first time, sitting on different sides of the table? Now, the PIA, for the first time, we're really taking it into its rigor with elements of the Petroleum Act, because, of course, a lot of the divesting companies are divesting assets that haven't been converted. So there is a fundamental meeting of minds that has to happen, and risk sharing that has taken some time. And that's on both sides. We like to blame the regulator because it's what's expedient. And I'm sure the regulator will push back and say, well, but we ask you for this and this and that, But I think that was the big hurdle, understanding the concepts of decommissioning, as you know, and all the other things that we had to really dive into. But beyond that, we haven't done anything magical. I think all of us are pretty much tracking accordingly. And if not for the minor issues, today we could have had 4 of 4 up. So I think a round of applause, in my view, to the regulators for the work they've done. There is still work to be done. Yeah. I think Bite has covered it, so I'm not going to rehash it. There's delays, response times, things of that nature. I think we can always improve that across government in general, but we are all learning. I think that was the phrase that we used, and we're growing together in this new paradigm.